In this video, I'm going to show you how to think and sell like Elon Musk. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. Dan. I'm a neurostrategist and I'm a coach. I teach entrepreneurs how to take their message to the masses by using the brain. So in this video, let's break down how Elon Musk thinks and how he sells. I think you're gonna be surprised. First off, we can all agree Elon Musk thinks differently than the average human. And what he does is he subscribes to a model known as first principles thinking. Now, you may have heard this before, and I believe that he breaks this down better than anyone I've seen. Check it out.
You kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there.
So I hope you've already begun to think about how your product, service, and offer is different than everybody else. Because when you think from first principles, you break it down so much that you realize how you're unique, how you're innovative, how you're different than anybody else in your marketplace. And I'll tell you right now, this is not taught in schools, particularly public schools. Any level of education is teaching us what to think, not how to think. Elon has just taken it upon himself to not go by the standard box that the culture has set for us. And I'll be the first to tell you, I strive to think first principles in anything I do, especially when I'm creating a new business. What makes it different? What makes it unique? Why should people listen? Why should people buy or listen to me versus anybody else? I've thought about this from decision making, human decision making. Why? Because if you're trying to get somebody to believe you or to behave differently, then you need to understand how they're making decisions. So the brain is wired in a certain way. It doesn't respond to logic, facts, and data the way you've been led to believe. This is where I broke down communication so that I can address first principles decision making, first principles selling, first principles communication. And you know this, communication is 93% nonverbal. So right there says that, I better understand that if I've got a message to take to people that I want them to believe, behave differently, and or take action on, I better know how they're making decisions. And first principles thinking has allowed me to break down communication to a point where I can teach it and be different than anybody else. Elon does this so well. The other area I've done this in is my first business, which was in health. And so as a health practitioner and a chiropractor, I was able to look at health from the first principles model. How can somebody live to 100 years old and drink and smoke and do bad things where somebody dies at 50 doing all the right things? First principles then tells us there's something at play that's different or more than what we've been led to believe. So this is where you have to look at the function of the body and not just the symptoms. Look at how the body is working and not just whether or not you're putting the right nutrition in or exercising. All those things are important. When you break healthcare down to its lowest common denominator, the brain runs the body, and if there's interference to the brain running the body, you're gonna have problems. This is why I've always thrived in the healthcare space with the businesses that I've started and clients that I've coached, because I help them understand first principles thinking. That way they have confidence, they have clarity, and they have certainty every time they're trying to sell their products, services, and offers. Elon Musk does this better than anybody else. The second thing he does so well is he solves problems that people have. And he does that by giving them products that people need and want. Not only that they'll need and want, that they'll use, they'll benefit from, and they'll tell others. Elon is so good at solving people's problems and even creating products that allows them to solve problems they didn't even know they had. But the one thing when you look at Elon's track record is he's able to think so far out of the box and create products that allow people to want what he has so badly that he doesn't even hardly have to sell it. When he came out with the Cybertruck, there were 1 million purchases of this Cybertruck that occurred before he even had the factory to build them. Think about that. He created such a groundswell of desire because of his other products, because they're so innovative. I mean, you think about it, the Tesla has a ludicrous mode. I mean, who could think about this stuff? And if you'd have told that to a car manufacturer 30 years ago, they would have called you crazy.
All right, Mac. You're crazy, right? You're a crazy person.
But not Elon, because he also knows exactly what makes his products different, because he's so innovative and he's so forward thinking based on first principles. So when you think about your product, service, or offer, what will people need? What will they use? And then here's the kicker, what will they tell others about? There was a great story from a well-known guy, Jesse Itzler. Great guy, amazing message, but he tells a story about a failed business that he had where he had a great idea. He had great money and resources and he had the right people behind it, but it failed because people didn't talk about it. It did not get the results that he needed. It had something to do with these caffeine strips. So you know those Listerine strips that make your breath smell good? He wanted to create the same thing, but caffeine. So instead of running to a coffee or a Red Bull in the afternoon, people would just be able to take this strip and they would get that jolt of energy that they were looking for. He had A-list celebrities and athletes, including LeBron James, and he said he launched it, and week 1, it went awesome. Week 2, it went awesome. Week 3, it went awesome. Week 4, it went awesome. So much so that by the end of the first month, he had the people who had passed on investing, he said, you gotta get in. And so they all jump in with their money because this thing was blowing up. By week 6, it started its downfall. And what he recognized is the idea was good, but people were not using them and telling others. The results of it, the quality of it, the experience of his customers weren't good enough for them to tell others about it. And the entire thing flopped. So the moral of the story there is, do you have a product, service, and offer that gets results that people will want, and ultimately that they'll tell others about? I see entrepreneurs so often, they want to describe the problem for their customers versus the customers actually describing the problem to them. Because you could have the greatest idea, but if your customers or prospects don't recognize they have that problem or describe the problem differently, you're going to be in trouble. You got to listen to your market, listen to your prospects, go survey them, poll them, find out what they want, what they would describe as their pain point. It's been said that if you can describe their problem better than they can, then you position yourself as the only one to solve it. Use the power of story to position yourself as the only one to solve their problems. When you use your story or other client stories, they feel so understood and validated that they're willing to pay you whatever price and travel whatever distance to get what you have. And the third thing that Elon Musk does so well to think and sell differently is that he's detached from the outcome. He knows his products are so good that he doesn't need his customers more than they need him and his products. And when you come from that place, you literally detach from the outcome. The reason why this is so critical, because we know humans make decisions with their emotional part of the brain. Neuropsychologist Antonio Damasio said that we are feeling machines that think, not thinking machines that feel. That means we are feelers first. We decide with our emotional brain, not with our rational brain. Elon takes advantage of this because he's detached from the outcome. That means his body language and his tone speaks directly to the emotional centers of the prospects. And it says, I don't need you, but you're gonna definitely want this product. Are you communicating like that? 38% of your communication comes from your tone of voice. 55% comes from your body language. That transference of energy is what sales and influence actually is. Elon does this despite the fact that he may stutter or use filler words. There's so many people out there that evaluate Elon's public speaking and they criticize or critique his filler words or his ums and his ahs. And in my opinion, they fail to recognize, even though he does that, he still sells better than almost anyone. It's because you don't have to be polished. This should be good news to you and me. I'm not a charismatic, polished, talented communicator. This is good news that I don't have to be. It's that when you have confidence and certainty, which comes from first principles thinking, if you have real solutions for people's problems that they're willing to use and talk about and get results with, and you detach from needing to sell them or needing their money or needing their attention, you start to stack the deck in your favor. One other quick tip on that is the way to detach yourself, you need to have more eyeballs on you and your product, service, and offer. If more people want what you have, then you can be more selective. How you do that is you put out better content. The key is not to go find more people that need what you have, it's to be findable to the people who need what you have. One last little bonus here is I love when Elon talks about having passion about what you do. The importance of what he's speaking about there is that there's gonna be bumps and bruises and challenges, and your passion will allow you to persist even when times get tough because you love what you do and you love the people you're serving. I found this to be true in my own life and my own businesses. So there you have it. Those are the 3 ways to think and sell like Elon Musk. Hey, I would love to hear from you. Click the like button, leave me a comment. Dr. Dan, I'm out.